Greetings everyone. Let us study the word of God that is in HOSEA chapter 4 verse 6. The word of God says, "My people are being destroyed because of lack of knowledge." Now it is this lack of knowledge that translates into ignorance. Once you deprive yourself of acquiring biblical knowledge, you become a victim of ignorance and fear. Once your mind is overshadowed with fear, your mind becomes incapacitated, that you lack the ability to think properly. You lack the ability to do some analytical thinking. What the enemy does, he instills fear in people's lives. Fear is a form of intimidation, and it's a very powerful satanic weapon that the enemy uses to overshadow your mind with, so that you don't think properly, so that you don't think analytically. Do you know that there are some situations that you might find yourself in, some problems, whereby the answer is just within you? And since your sense of reasoning is incapacitated, you are not able to think properly. That's why I'm saying fear is a very strong satanic weapon. Let's look at the example of David and Goliath. David saw this giant man who was standing in front of him. But because of the faith in David, David knew that he won't be intimidated by this giant that he was seeing in front of him, because he knew the strength that he had. He knew that greater was he who is in him than what he was saying. So when we allow fear to overshadow our mind, we forget the promises of God. The word of God says, "I am more than a conqueror." The word of God says, "No weapon formed against you shall prosper." So when we confess the word of God, we confess the belief that we have in us through the mouth. That's why, again, the word of God tells us that the power of life and death is on your tongue. Because when you speak, what is coming from out of your mouth, it's the belief that is in your heart. The mouth speaks what is coming from the heart. So here, that is what I'm saying. The word of God says in the book of HOSEA that my people are destroyed because of lack of knowledge. When we deprive ourselves to acquire biblical knowledge, we become victims in the hands of the enemy. He can destroy people's life easily because you lack the knowledge. You don't know God's promises about your life. So as we saw here, whereby David refused to be intimidated by this giant that was in front of him. So my point here also is, whatever problem you are going through in life, no matter how big it is, no matter what you are going through in life, let us learn how to meditate upon the word of God. Let us learn how to lay our problems at the feet of his throne, and he will answer us. Thank you so very much for your time. Remain blessed.